So I always like to clear things up just in case there was a mistake or an error made, because y'all know I'm all about being specific. So I record this before the show. This is actually episode 342, not episode 341. I only reference it once in the show, but I just want to be sure we're referencing the right title. So yeah, I just want to be sure I got that squared away. All right, bye. Love y'all.
This episode is brought to you by the RVA Podcast Network. Find more information at rvapodcast.org.
We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such.
Welcome to season 6 of The Pass, BT. Didn't think we'd get here, but here we are. Show going a bit of a different direction, as you may have noticed near the end of season 5. Sports is still a thing, but not as much. You'll get more information about what's going on in the tech world, what's going on in the music world. We actually have kind of gotten rid of Ass of the Week. Once in a while, you may get one here and there, but I still want to stick with the main gist of passing the message to you all. So take your time, but don't waste your time as you sit and enjoy a new season of The Pass with your host, BT. What's up, y'all? What's good? Episode 341 of The Pass is here. I'm your host, BT. We're doing another episode. I'm going to kind of run through this a little quick, a little abbreviated, but I wanted to talk about a couple of things while I had these topics fresh, because I've been away for a while. And as the saying goes, life is always lifing. So when you got to stay ready to get ready. So I'm going to unpack what we have going on. And speaking of unpacked, one of the topics is about the Samsung Unpack, which I'm going to get to in just a bit. There will be no angel number today, just doing something a little different. I'm likely going to bring back angel numbers again, because they are always good to address or discuss. But I wanted to kind of go into what's been new, what's been going on with me tech wise, and what's been going on just in general. So we'll hop right into it. First and foremost, and I'm even looking at my desktop now, I've changed it. Most of my devices, I'm kind of diving back into the Apple ecosystem, to say without saying. I was indifferent or unsure how I was going to do this, but I have let Spotify go. I know a lot of people have been keeping up with the story or stories related to Joe Rogan and his word usage and how Spotify handled all of that. Personally, that made an impact on my decision of saying that I don't see a need to associate myself with a company of that sort. And I know it's one of those things where a decision of that magnitude shouldn't impact a person in their consumption. But on the same token, you're paying a company X number of dollars a month, and it's just no benefit to me to do. So I have reverted back to Apple Music, and Apple Music is treating me just fine. I do miss, it is the integration portions of it that'll be missed, but I'm not really even pressed on that anymore as far as, being able to listen to podcasts and stuff like that within the app. I can use a separate app. It's no big deal. I'm getting in the hang of that now. I have gone ahead and also switched browsers again, because a lot of times I was, to kind of give a small but transparent backstory, I was using Brave. Well, for a long time, I've been using Google Chrome. Anyone who knows me knows I live and die by Google Chrome. Love it to death by far. But I also needed to get into something and find something that's a little different, but has the same feel and look to it. So I was finding different browsers that seemed to work. And then I got introduced to Brave, which I like Brave. Brave is cool, but there are some things that Brave just isn't capable of doing or able to handle. So, as the age old saying goes, stick with what you know. And I'm back using Safari, which Safari has been good for me. I love it. no, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like I said earlier, I'm going to talk about the Unpack. Samsung did their Unpacked event. I watched, as I always do, watch the 8 to 10 minute version of it to kind of get the cliff notes of what's coming. They're getting rid of the Galaxy family, which you kind of saw coming, and they're mainly making all of their flagships, all of their phones to be with the wider, bigger screens. I think it's the Samsung Ultra is going to include the S Pen. They're really pushing. This is my take on it, and as y'all know, I'm never going to come off as Apple versus iPhone or Apple versus Android. I'm about tech versus tech and just conversation versus conversation. And there's really not a versus in this, only the fact that Apple has had the Apple Pencil for a while. But Samsung has always had the S Pen. The S Pen has always been goated. So now the S Pen is getting a larger amount of attention. And I think it's only fitting because it is like actually not a bad accessory to have to begin with. So I've found that the S Pen, I'm saying this because it's just the raw truth. I personally believe the Samsung S Pen is going to help get the digital footprint more open for people who are looking to do digital planning or digital transitioning. And I'll talk about that in just a sec. But overall, like the keynote, the abbreviated version of the keynote that I watched, they definitely got a nice lineup of phones coming. I'm not going to even sit here and lie to you. I always pay attention to what Samsung does, because Samsung just does it the right way, and they know they're trying to get their consumers to they're going to keep their consumers in the right direction of what they're trying to sell and promote. So like I said, what I got from it, definitely enjoyed it. I'll be sure to get a screenshot or not a screenshot, but like an article that kind of explains an overview of what we gathered or what we got from that actual keynote event. All right, give me one sec. All right, so our next topic we're going to hop into real quick while I'm thinking about it is because I've talked about business, I've talked about entrepreneurship, and I've kind of been giving effort but not giving effort, and now I'm in a position where I have to give effort because I don't want the time or the money or the energy that's been put into it to go to waste. So lately it's definitely been a resourceful journey. Due to some information that I've been given, I'm not able to talk about as much related to the content that's been provided, but I will say that we've definitely been given quite a fair share of information to help us get things on the right track. I'll say it like this though. If you don't put the work into something, you can't expect the results. And that's the one thing these last 3 weeks going into this 4th week have taught me, is if you put no time into something, you can't be mad at the results of something. And I think that's what I'm having to take time and remind others and remind myself of, is what's my priority? What am I trying to do? What do I want to do? What does it look like? And how hard am I willing to go for it? So that has been that ordeal as far as like business and what I've been trying to get going with that. So this last part, before I get into the pass the message, is something I would have never expected, but I'm glad I'm doing it. And that is to kind of paint a timeline without painting a timeline. For the longest time, I've always done everything by hand. Now, before I go too far into saying that, yes, I still write. I still have dry erase boards that I write things on. I still have a calendar that I keep things on. I have a cork board, and I have Post-it notes to keep reminders and messages available, because it never hurts to have those things in place. Planning and journaling, I've done this year. I started the year with doing bullet journaling. Thought it was going to work, and I introduced myself to the iPad. A couple of days, like a day or so before that, I had a conversation with my brother, and we talked about tech, and I talked about organizing, and I talked about really getting things like buckled down and situated. And at first I was kind of doing it, kind of piecing it together, but it wasn't coming together the way that I wanted it to. So I went ahead, had the funds to do what I needed to do, and I made the switch. Now, any of you who know me or have heard me talk about it, I have the iPad mini. I've had the iPad mini for almost 6 years. And I'm going to always value that iPad. I've actually found a way that I'm going to use it, and I'll get into that in a sec. But currently the iPad Pro, now there were two options, of course. There's the Pro 11-inch and there's the 12 point, I think it's 11.5 or something like that, and the 12.9 or something. The 12, I just think that's too much in my personal opinion. The iPad that I got from my observation and just in using it, it feels equivalent to using a piece of paper. It's like it's the size of a paper as far as the screen size. So that factor alone is what gravitated me towards that option, which I'm valuing and really latched to by far. I already had someone who I knew that was selling a digital planner. She did a customized digital planner, which is amazing. When I first set it up, now I'm being transparent with y'all. I'm being real and saying what I'm about to say. It took over a month of me using the planner because she has different options. She has different styles. You can pick whether you want your calendar week to start on Sundays or Mondays. I'm still a Monday person. I always started on Mondays because most of, if not all of my calendars start on Monday. Of course, if you buy calendars from stores, like I have a dry erase calendar, it starts on Sunday. I don't really make a big uproar about that because it's not like I can shift a physical calendar in that regard. But digital or anything tech based like Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, all of them, I make it my best goal. Even it was a printout that I found online. I have that calendar set to start on like Monday as the default start date. And then factoring in the positioning of what type of calendar or what type of planner. I was looking at bullet journaling or dotted line options. And I tried that for a while, and I would write stuff out and task things. But then I'm also tasking it in a separate space with using notes. So a friend of mine, Anisha, shout out to you. We've been doing accountability of just keeping track of notes and planning out stuff for the day, for the week, for the month, et cetera, et cetera. So that's been helpful, and that's been a huge adjustment. So since going into the digital realm, I've implemented 4 separate components. I'm doing my planning as such, my journaling. I found an actual journal template that you put it into a program. I'm gonna get into programs because I'm kind of giving the rundown, and then I'll break down some of the stuff that I've downloaded, because I've talked about a little bit of this on TikTok, or as I've called it, Tech Talk, which has been a thing for a while. But for me, it's like I'm tapping into that realm. But I've been doing planning, journaling, finances, and brain dumping. So, So the program that I found, it was 2 apps that I downloaded that I was like, I'm going to get these apps and I'm going to learn them and I'm going to get comfortable with using them. And they are Procreate and GoodNotes 5. Now, I initially had downloaded Notability. I thought I would get into Notability and like it, but as soon as I started using GoodNotes just works for every feature that you get under the hood. It's a very powerful program that has a lot of capabilities that you really don't see right away on the surface. And that's what makes it very, very helpful or very resourceful. And when I first got it, I didn't get those things at first, but now that I've been using it for a while, I understand it a lot clearer. I bought a planner, a digital planner from someone on Etsy. I bought a financing planner from someone on Etsy, and I bought a journaling type planner from someone on Etsy. And then for brain dumping, I just use the default notepad. And I think I'm going to probably be changing the page types for that brain dump, because I've been doing that in dotted line. And I think it's not that I don't like dotted line, and it's not that I don't like bullet journaling, but from the digital aspect, I need those blocks and I need those like strict, like, hey, what am I working on? Because I've kind of been semi-freestyling, and freestyling just ain't been doing it. Because there's a lot of stuff that I get done, but there's a lot of stuff that gets left behind. And I want to change that for the better, of course. So working through that, adjusting to those pieces has been a big journey. So Procreate, $10. Procreate will be helpful because you could use it to make some templates and designs for for GoodNotes or Notability, whichever one you use. I believe GoodNotes was, I want to say it was about $8. I think it's like $8. GoodNotes wasn't that expensive, but I mean, it's a lifetime app. Like you pay that one fee and you pretty much have access to like any of their default templates and any templates or stickers you find online. The young lady who sells who I bought the digital planner from, she sold me it comes with all your planner styles. It comes with the stickers. It came with covers. There were a lot of features and a lot of detail involved in it. And I was like, all right, this is definitely helping me out to see what my planning style is. Because initially, like I said, bullet journaling worked for me just fine, no big deal, because it is rapid logging. But rapid logging in digital form is a little different personally. That's just my personal opinion. Some people may disagree, but rapid logging comes off a lot more challenging, especially if you're throwing in tasks and things of that sort. So, and I'm saying this to anyone who, and I'm reverting back to Samsung Unpacked, and I'm also going to bring Apple into this as well. If you're able to do it, get a keyboard. Logitech keyboards are inexpensive, and get a stylus. If it is like the brand stylus, like a lot of people think the Apple Pencil is expensive. It's worth every penny for what you're going to use it for. And I didn't think that at first, but literally, I don't know when or how they're going to do it, but they need to add something to track or tag Apple Pencils, because I literally make sure that I keep mine like nearby and ready, because that's how much I use it. So I'm sharing that just to tell everybody. And this is tech tip, but this is just general information. Every once in a while, you should learn how to do or find a space to do brain dumps, like get thoughts out of your head. Because if you don't get them out, as long as they're in your mind, they don't do any justice to anybody. You're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself. And it will show in the long haul if you leave something undelivered or unscathed or whatever the case may be. So I'm giving all those information, giving all of that information and just presenting that to you all, because it's stuff that I learned or was figuring out, but didn't understand initially, but now it makes a lot more sense to me. So that's what I have for that. Yeah, I mean, these last few weeks have been just me getting stuff in go mode and productive mode. I may not have shared this publicly on the platform, but now I'm helping. I'm an assistant coach for a friend of mine with a basketball team. Got to see the team's first game, learned a lot about myself and learned a lot about how things work or function or whatever. And that was very eye opening. So I got that understood and taken care of. But yeah, it's definitely, as I call it, February has been a restart, and February has been about just aligning and getting things together and figuring it all out. And now I know what I'm trying to do. I know what it's about. I know what makes sense. I know what works, and it's flowing. So my message to everyone is make changes for yourself. Do not make changes on the basis of what other people think you should make changes. And the reason I'm saying that is because we find ourselves trying to change stuff, but we don't change when it matters most. And it has to change. I know that's like a walking contradiction, but we should make changes for our benefit, not to benefit other people. Because if you make the change and it's working for someone in someone else's favor, it's going to make you frustrated the whole time. Even if you don't say it makes you frustrated the whole time. And I'm saying it from experience because I've seen it and I've been in it to know it. So that's what I have for y'all today. be productive, be amazing, be positive. As the rapper says, even though I'm not using this term, keep pushing P, but keep pushing P. I'll make sure I mark that and take that part out. But put yourself in the right space and put yourself around the right people and mean it and value it. All right. Y'all have a good one, and I will catch y'all next time. Peace. Well, that was definitely a fun show. I hope you all learned something. I hope you all gained some information either about myself or about yourselves, because I know with the message that's passed along, it's usually meant to do a little bit of reflection, maybe some shadow work, not sure, all about your niche or lane. But I want to take time and utilize this section to share. Thank you to anyone who has taken time to listen to the show, to subscribe to the show, to leave any comments, to leave any feedback. If you want to leave any information, the pastbtpod@gmail.com. Podcasts are uploaded using Buzzsprout, probably one of my favorite platforms to be on. And to all my artists, if you know that you have a gift, share that gift with the rest of us, because we're waiting. Until next time, this is the Past signing out. Peace.